assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen, ishpata.
Pakhair agele, ni hao, tunashumme, washwele, ohaya guzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suavia, balli keraya. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You watching World this morning, alongside my very fantastic, very amazing, very wise co-host, Ms. Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Shahzad Ahsan Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today and how was your weekend?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm doing great, alhamdulillah, and the weekend was super busy.
Wow.
In a good way though, I was super occupied with my family, both families, my in-laws and my real one.
Yeah.
They were both in Islamabad, so well, it was fun. What about you?
Well, I think I had fun over the weekend as well, you know, so the entire family got together. We went to a getaway spot as well, where there was swimming pool, there was archery, there was a shooting range, there was paintball, we had dinner together.
This was in Islamabad?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
not in Islamabad, it was, you know, kind of at the suburbs of Islamabad as well. But
Okay.
yeah, everybody had fun, everybody did enjoy. The kids loved it the most as well. So yeah.
Lovely.
So today, early in the morning, when I was about to get up, I was like, yeah, you know what, I feel so tired. Should I be going to work or not? Then I was like, hey, you know what, 46 different countries, people will be waiting over there for us to be on screen as well. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, ready to kickstart your day and our week as well.
Absolutely. We really hope that your weekend was great too, and you're coming out of it with great lifted spirits and
Yep.
energies, like we are, I guess. And I think a lot of credit goes to my coffee as well. So that's that. Other than that, Shahzad, schools and universities mostly have now opened.
Yep.
Did you have trouble with the traffic today?
Well, I think I was lucky enough because, you know, I knew that the schools are going to open up, but I never knew that the universities are going to open up today as well. But, you know,
Oh.
since everything's opening up and everything's getting back to normal, I believe that this is the kind of site which everybody else wanted to kind of have. You know, because for the longest period of time, kids weren't going to schools, people weren't going to universities as well, and everybody was in a lockdown. You know, so seeing right in front of our own eyes that everything's getting better, ladies and gentlemen, I could only say one thing, and that was thank you, Allah, that
I
you know that we are
know.
actually coming back to normal life. NCLC did a great job. People are getting vaccinated. I believe that, you know, Pakistan's doing great. Wow, wonderful.
Yes, definitely so. And one thing that really makes me happy about everything reopening, along with the fact that, yes, we are getting back to normal, is that idle minds are actually going to get something to do. Well, there was a lot of negativity, Shahzad, from the idle mind sitting at home.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the kind of negative energies that just find social media to be the platform where
Oh,
they
I
can
know what
actually
you're
spread
referring
hate.
to,
No,
yes.
I'm generally speaking. But yes, that is one of the reasons I'm speaking about it. Now that everything is reopened, I really hope that people with a sick mind actually get an idea that just sitting idle and spewing rather hate and negativity just to pull someone down because they're doing better than you, that is not the way to move forward in life. I mean,
Exactly,
really.
that's true. And Shiza, you know, I'm going to share a personal incident over here as well, because, you know, every now and then when I would do shows, you know, even for our PTV World or any other channel as well, you know, there's this habit of going back and you logging on to internet or YouTube and looking at what people have to say about your
Right.
work. You know, so there you will always find people who will love your work, and then you will always find people who will find a mistake no matter what happens.
That's true.
But you got to accept it that way, ladies and gentlemen. It's truly your choice. You know, because you are out there, you're doing something which is for the public out there as well, so they have every right to kind of comment. But
Okay.
yes, your right is actually going to be till the time that you're going to make a comment, not doing something other than that, you know, probably even in my comment section as well. So for all of those people who are out there, who might be having a tough time being a, you know, popular celebrity, please make sure that you know what your role you're playing. And not just that, please make sure that you understand that, you know, you're not public property, but public has the right to kind of convey their messages towards you as well. So take them nicely.
Well, Shahzad, social media is definitely a power tool, and with power comes huge responsibility.
Yep.
And I think media literacy is really important because this is, I mean, about time we learn how to use the technology to our benefit, right?
Yeah.
I really don't want to pull anyone down in terms of, well, putting sort of a sad tone to their Mondays. Let's leave this behind. So what are we talking about today is something we will discuss right after showing you this small, very informative report. Let's take a look at it. When we come back, we shall discuss.
Let's do that. Good morning.
World Food Safety Day, celebrated on the 7th of June 2021, aims to draw attention and inspire action to help prevent, detect and manage foodborne risks, contributing to food security, human health, economic prosperity, agriculture, market access, tourism and sustainable development. This year's theme, Save Food Today for a Healthy Tomorrow, stresses that production and consumption of safe food has immediate and long-term benefits for people, the planet and the economy. Food safety has a critical role in assuring that food stays safe at every stage of the food chain, from production to harvest, processing, storage, distribution, all the way to preparation and consumption. This International Day is an opportunity to strengthen efforts to ensure that the food we eat is safe, mainstream food safety in the public agenda and reduce the burden of foodborne diseases globally. Pakistan has made significant progress in food production over the last several decades. To address the challenges regarding food safety, the government of Pakistan has taken several initiatives. Food safety is a shared responsibility between governments, producers and consumers. Everyone has a role to play from farm to table to ensure the food we consume is safe and healthy. Through the World Food Safety Day, WHO works to mainstream food safety in the public agenda and reduce burden of foodborne diseases globally.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have given it away. So today it happens to be World Food Safety Day, and why not? I believe that it's such an important day, especially for us Pakistanis, where amongst all the SAARC member countries, we really do not have a food safety system over here in Pakistan. And obviously, you know, we have kind of mentioned it before as well, that if you're not going to accept it and we will be in denial, we won't be bringing it to life as well. So Shiza, the basic concept is to kind of detect and manage the foodborne diseases, not just that. Once we start to manage, obviously we're going to look into better agriculture, we're going to look into better economics of the country as well. Since we are an agrarian society, our economy depends on that as well. So we really need to work towards that. But have we? That's the question which we want to ask. But what's the theme this year?
All right, so the theme is, well, very relevant to the day itself. It is Safe Food Today for a Healthy Tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when we talk about food safety, we're actually not looking at the amount of food. We're looking at the nutrients of it, or actually the sort of, you know, there's a lot of adulteration going on as well. I was really confused with food insecurity and food safety, but there is a major difference, and today we're going to learn that. Actually, along with you guys, I'm going to learn that. Exactly. So without further ado,
without further ado, let's introduce our guest. But very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, these are a few things which we have gone through as well, where people went out to actually have goat meat, but God forbid were given donkey's meat as well. You know, so we kind of need to talk about that. Imagine that, you know, a farmer who's actually using pesticides, and that too not organic at all, you know, will actually have an impact on our health. Number two. Number three, you know, imagine the milkman who's putting in a lot of water, and that might probably be contaminated.
Exactly.
So imagine that all of a sudden when we move on to organic diet, that's the time when our stomach does not support us, or the system itself. So we really need to talk about the kind of food we are having, the kind of nutritional impact it's going to have on us, and how can the entire situation get better.
Let's do it, absolutely.
So without any further ado, we are lucky, ladies and gentlemen, that we actually joined by somebody who truly deserves to be here, and she happens to be the FAO representative in Pakistan. She is Miss Rebecca Bell. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam, and good morning to you as well.
Thank you very much
So
for joining us.
lovely to
Wonderful
have
to have you, and you have a lovely smile, which we truly need early in the morning, and that too on a Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be a nutritionist. She's going to let us know that if, for example, we're going to have food with a lot of synthetic pesticide in it, is it going to have a good impact on our health or a worst one? So let's talk about that. She happens to be Dr. Javeria. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam, good morning, and good morning, Pretty World.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. Yeah, Sheila, you want to start with the conversation?
Well, yes, thank you so much, Azad. So, Rebecca, beginning with you. I was reading even some scholarly articles about food safety itself, and all of them, even the latest one, said that there is no stats to share for Pakistan. Do you have something on that? If not Pakistan, probably about Southeast Asia itself.
Sure. Look, welcome to World Food Safety Day. This is the third International World Food Safety Day, and it's a day where we try to bring attention to the various issues ranging from the farm all the way through food production to the fork about how the safety of our food impacts our health, our jobs, our economy, and our long-term well-being as well. And so, you know, we've all had some sort of food-related sickness, and so it's something we're probably all very familiar with. And so food safety is everybody's responsibility. And this is the main message of World Food Safety Day this year, that food safety is everybody's responsibility. Whether you're a farmer producing food, do you use polluted water or clean water to irrigate your crops? Do you use banned pesticides and herbicides, or do you use organic methods as you have suggested?
Right.
It goes all the way into food packaging and food storage. For all those people who run go-downs and store various wheat and other commodities in their go-downs, are they managing the mold and moisture content in that? You know, so are people purchasing wheat that is moldy and, you know, potentially bad for their health? Like you said about the milkman, you know, issues to do with food standards also mean that the prices are a matter, and in order for a farmer to get a return on their investment, maybe they're putting water in the milk, and maybe that water is also contaminated and creating health problems.
Absolutely.
And then it goes all the way to the consumer. You know, do people know about what is safe food? If I buy a chicken in the market and it's been hanging there all day, am I buying something that is safe for me and my family to eat?
Or is already dead.
No, but I mean, a lot of germs and everything may sort of add to it. But Mr. Becker, I absolutely love where you sort of set up the tone that we're talking about from farm to fork. So basically each and every single person involved in it.
I like it, from farm to fork.
I know, right? And where you spoke about farmers, that if they're not getting the right, so here you go, ladies and gentlemen. While yes, we are an agrarian society, I think the worst, I mean, the people or the segment of the society living in the worst economic situation are the farmers themselves. So imagine people who are producing and sort of providing you with organic food do not get enough to lead probably a healthy life. So moving on to you, Ms. Javeria, with this question, how do you think farmers, first of all, can improve the product that they're selling into the markets and themselves benefit as well?
First of all, it's our Food Safety Day, and as a responsible citizen, as a responsible person in this society and community, every second person has the responsibility to produce, educate, make them people, the normal general people aware about the main health safety standard methods. You know, from the farmer to consumer, from the laws to the implementation, and from the, you know, all the government organizations, stakeholders, all the legislation departments, and all the, you know, they should be monitored from this level to this level, from, you know, farmer to consumer, on the grassroots, on the grass to grass. Mean to say that Pakistan is an agricultural country, and we are rich in our culture, our foods, you know, health, wellness, nutritious foods, and it's all available, safe and healthy. But production, availability, accessibility, these are the three important factors. You know, sometimes people can't afford a healthy and safe food, and sometimes they have affordability power, but they can't access of that food. And sometimes, you know, adulterated, whenever we talk about the adulterated milk, adulterated poultry, adulterated, you know, waterborne illnesses, and, you know, water scarcity is one of the main and biggest problem right now we are facing in the Pakistan, and no one wanted to talk about it because we are overpopulated country right now, and, you know, safe healthy drinking water, and due to, you know, if we already talk about the water, there is a lot of bacterial infection, viral infections. They come from the, you know, fecal, or they come to our body and become us ill, and this is the main thing that we educate people in the food security, safety, and, you know.
And thank you very much for identifying that. And you know what, you know, since you said that the population's on the rise, at least, you know, we're increasing in numbers in one way or the other as well. I'm sorry to say that was on a lighter note. But, you know, coming back to where you said that we're in an agrarian society, I believe that as well, and our economy truly depends on it. But Ms. Rebecca, I'll come back to you. Now, you know, obviously, we're nowhere to be actually in comparison with anybody other than Pakistan itself, because we really do not have a food safety system over here in Pakistan, where the entire economy truly, not entire, but a part of it truly depends on agriculture. So imagine that the country where the economy is dependent on agriculture, still we are not having a food safety system. How do we go about it?
Well, the country is trying to have a food safety system.
And also, please, educate us about the system. What would it be
Sure.
if it comes in place?
Look, there is a role, like I said before, there's a role for everybody. So the government needs to have one food standard across the country. So, for example, like if you're going to buy a mango pickle, you know, what is the minimum percentage of mango in mango pickle? The last thing we want to buy is mango pickle that doesn't have any mango
in it.
Exactly.
But how can we make sure, though?
Exactly. But by having a food standard that says mango pickle must have at least 60% mango in it, then there is an assurity for the manufacturers and for the consumers that when you're buying mango pickle, you are actually buying very proud Pakistani mango pickle.
Brilliant, yes.
And so we're advocating here that because Pakistan is one country with one law system and one food system, that Pakistan should have one food control, one food standard across the country that is then implemented separately at the provincial level and through you know, other quarantine and customs arrangements.
Which is why that's what I actually wanted to ask, because, you know, after the 18th Amendment, that's what we are more worried about as well, where, you know, how do you think that there will be uniformity within the food safety system?
Absolutely. You can't have, for example, one province having one definition of what is milk and another province having a different definition, because that doesn't help business or trade or, you know, opportunities for job growth in the economy. So one country, one food system, one food law, and this is what we're advocating for, and we're very hopeful that Pakistan will have a food authority or food standards shortly, and that will bring Pakistan into line with the international standards and also open wonderful opportunities for job creation in Pakistan, because at the moment most of Pakistan's agricultural produce goes into fresh consumption, where, rather than being processed and being added into other higher value products available
or exported.
Exactly, for export. And so having food standards then makes those standards compatible to other countries' food standards and makes Pakistani products more available for export and opens up so many opportunities both for job growth and for export opportunities as well.
That's the kind of complaint I've already have, you know, because, you know, it's going to be mango season soon, inshallah. And the best part is that, you know, the best mangoes actually do not stay back in Pakistan. You know, they travel abroad, you know, because people love them over there. And, you know, there's one more thing which I wanted to ask, and this is something which I've always noted. So, you know, if I'm traveling somewhere, you know, outside Pakistan, usually it's most of the time it's England. So what happens is that, you know, if you stay there for 15 or 20 days and you eat their food, you're going to gain like 1 or 2 kgs at least. This is something which I've witnessed. You come down to Pakistan, you lose that 1 or 2 kgs, whatever you might have gained. Is it because of that food safety you have over there?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's a comment for the nutritionist.
All right, let's move on to the nutritionist.
So his point being the content that we eat over there, the nutrition in it, is it different than Pakistan?
You know, the way from kitchen to the eating, developing the eating habits. You know, it's a part of lifestyle. Whenever we talk about the nutrients.
I mean, it's not literally that I eat too much when I'm traveling, but that's what I want to say.
You should save some. You know, you should save some mangoes for you in the earlier period, so it will be so good. So whenever we talk about the safe, healthy, and pure good food, you know, without adulteration, because you know, adulteration in Pakistan right now it's on peak. You know, whenever we talk about on poultry, whenever we talk about the milk, they are the very big and separate issues. And moreover and most over, whenever we use these products with a lot of, you know, pesticides, the artificial products, the contaminants, and many other things. And after, you know, storage time has its own period. You know, shelf life or not. You know, everything like egg, milk, and any cookery. Whenever we think about the food, food is all about, you know, in socializing, in nourishing ourselves, and in many other things.
Of course.
So what are you?
I just wanted to add something over here. You know, since we're talking about adulteration, we're talking about poultry as well. So imagine, you know, that chicken, you know, which comes out of a poultry farm cannot walk on her own. All right, you know, that's something which we all agree to. Imagine now they are laying double yolk eggs. I mean, I wonder how are they doing that?
Food biotechnology and
this is not technology. I think there's something wrong over
you know, right at the moment, because you know, science fiction, nutritional things, and you know, nutrients in the food are totally on the gross level. right now. Even if you take the coffee, there is a lot of types, you know, where we can and the things, how much we consumed, and the timings and all the things, they all happen to your lifestyle, your health and diet.
You know, I still don't know whether if I'm right or not, but there's something which I read somewhere that the most expensive coffee is actually made out of elephant poop as well. You know, so this is something which I read somewhere. I'm not sure whether it's true or not.
Well, was it Uber Facts?
As I say, you have a very interesting Facebook stream.
I know, right? Yeah. All right, but you know, well, while this was on a lighter note, but Dr. Javeria, you spoke about something so important, food storage, right?
Yeah.
A lot of, so I have seen this in people's houses who are so well educated. So the bread says expiry date XYZ, and it's been 7 days after it's been expired, and they go like, but there's no mold in it, I'm still going to eat it. So you tell me first of all, is that safe?
Let me tell you one thing, and let me clear one thing. If you are an educated person and a responsible citizen and you can read, first of all, whenever you pick something, first of all, read the food label.
Yeah.
You know, here, this habit is not developed. This is one of the main thing in the food security. You know, it's your responsibility to read that the expiry date, the manufacturing date. In Pakistan, we are such a strong, very nice and good country, and with our all faith on getting food, consuming food, and you know, burning that food as well.
Right.
But sometimes, somewhere, you know, a little bit negligence can lead us to the massive illness. Absolutely. Due to the foodborne illness. And whenever we talk about the storage techniques, like in, you can say, cold storage, warm storage, or a food storage, the export quality storage, or they use, you know, chemicals, the colorants, additives, and many other things that spoil the basic food quality, because it's for the certain period.
Definitely.
And this is one of the main thing whenever we need to keep the safe and healthy food, and we need to consume the healthy food. The thought of you know, ingesting or you know, absorbing a good quality vitamins, minerals, balanced diet food is all about to what exactly, either a fresh food, edible, raw, how much is shelf life, storage is fine, either it's commercialized or it's from a raw, a good source.
Okay, you know, so like, you have to check all of that.
Yeah. And you know, right at the moment in the Pakistan and globally, people are facing the problems in the commercial food items, because you know, it's stored from the long time in, you know, freezers and this and that, and after that you are giving that to your kids and their cognitive developments and their muscle development, and even, you know, else than food are consumed by the mothers and the, you know, else than parents, and that's not the, you know, developing a good habits, and you can say
yes, that's very true, Dr. Javeria. But now I want you to sort of burst a myth. I'm just going to tell you what the myth is. You can think about it. Meanwhile, I'll also throw a question to Mr. Becker.
What's the myth?
So I've heard, Shahzad, and I think we discussed this as well, that metallic containers are not good to preserve food. Now, what food are we talking about? We'll ask that, of course. And is it true that metal actually deposits some of its, well, whatever, on the food, and we sort of...
we'll get to that. Components that get to the cancers.
Yes, of course.
And 80% of cancer, you know, skin cancers, neck and head cancer, the mouth cancer, the ulcerative colitis, and many other things, they coming from the that area where you serve warm water or warm tea in offices on a you know, plastic in plastic, and see, because that plastic mixed with the warm food, and it also contaminated things.
But you know what, we are too lazy to actually, you know, use any other kind of culinary equipment within the microwave oven. So whatever we get, you know, we got to put it in as well. And yes, obviously it's dangerous.
But now, coming back to you, Mr. Becker, representing FAO today, you have worked in different parts of South Asia generally, and now in Pakistan. So after you have examined the situation, first of all, let us know if you have, and then what will your agenda be in terms of moving forward with FAO to improve Pakistan's situation?
Well, thank you very much. Look, the situation in Pakistan is actually quite healthy. You know, this year,
I like to hear that.
Exactly.
That's promising.
Absolutely.
What an amazing compliment about Pakistan.
I mean, you look at what Pakistan's achieving with incredible agricultural production. You know, such a large part of the population is absorbed in agricultural work, as you've suggested, and you're also very proud of your food culture and your food history. And this is something that is something that is so praiseworthy. But in saying that too, Pakistan Pakistan has some significant challenges. You know, large parts of Sindh, Baluchistan and the newly merged districts in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are still facing phase 3, or what we call a crisis situation in food insecurity.
All right.
And so there are areas of Pakistan that are still not getting enough nutritious food all throughout the year.
Okay.
And so that's a real challenge for a large part of the population.
Of course.
And then there's issues still in parts of Sindh and Baluchistan with child stunting and wasting.
Yeah.
So we still have very large numbers of children who are being stunted physically as well as cognitively because of their lack of exposure to good, clean, nutritious food. So safe, nutritious food when they're very young.
Okay, and that, well, yes, that is so true, which reminds me of a small sort of documentary I was watching about a part of Sindh, interior Sindh probably, where now they're teaching the residents to cook moringa leaves. Is that how we pronounce it?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Leaves, and they sort of shared around 80 recipes with the entire population just because they cannot afford meat or proteins for that matter, or any nutritious element to add to their food routines. So now they have all these recipes to make just from those leaves to have the kind of nutrients they need.
So that there is no silver bullet for improving nutrition. There's no one thing that you can do to make life better.
Yeah.
But you need to eat a better diversity, a better range of food. You need to eat more often and more food. You know, women and pregnant women, women who are breastfeeding and young children need to be given more food because of their extra dietary requirements and because of the special stages in life that they're moving through. People also need access to clean drinking water.
So important.
Absolutely. And then they also need, for example, safe food. So food that is not going to make them sick and continue that. They need access to basic health services. So there's not one thing that actually improves nutrition status for people who have significant malnutrition issues. It's many different things coming together, a system of systems response. But Pakistan has the resources to do that. Pakistan produces enough food to do that.
Okay.
Improved food safety means that there's less food loss and less food waste. And at the moment, Pakistan is losing anywhere between 30 and 50%, depending on the crop, in food loss and waste because of poor production techniques, poor transportation methods. We've all seen the trucks jam-packed with tomatoes. And I'm sure that the top layer might be tomatoes, but the bottom layer is ketchup or something by the time they get there. And, you know, you know, let alone the challenges in the wholesale markets, in the mundis. And so there's many things that could be done to improve the amount of food loss and waste, to reduce that.
Definitely.
Because Pakistan has the resources here. Everybody is motivated to make the change. And so, you know, it's just a matter of actually making that happen for large people who are often quite remote and distant to where the food is being produced.
Exactly, that's wonderful. Thank you for kind of identifying all the areas, you know, on the topic which we have picked up on today. It's a very important day as well. But very quickly, imagine that even if, you know, you're going to get the right food, you know, to the mandi, imagine that the vendor is actually going to sprinkle water which is not clean at all, you know, so at every stage. Not just that, there are people who are actually adding different colors to different fruits as well. For example, watermelons in these days as well. So they've been injecting red color in it as well to make it look more good and tasty as well.
And the amount of shiny wax on fruits, man.
Yeah, wax on food, and there's so many other things as well. But very quickly towards the end, there's 2-3 things which I wanted to ask. Number one, so while you've been in Pakistan, what have you been eating most of the time?
I'm a barbecue fan.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. Saji.
Saji. Oh, yeah, Saji's nice.
Love it.
Saji's nice.
Yeah, I'm an absolute barbecue fan. So
have you had biryani?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of biryani.
Wow, that's wonderful. So only Saji and biryani, that's it?
Oh, no. I mean, look, one of the wonderful things about my job is I get to travel all over Pakistan and I get to eat with all of the communities and I get to eat their food.
Yeah.
You know, even the amazing food of Tar Parker, the Tar people's food that they gather.
Steak.
The food that they gather from the forests of the tar is amazing.
Exactly.
What kind of things did they offer? I'm really interested.
Oh, it's an incredible food plate of products from their animals, combined with like cluster beans and other wild capers and all sorts of things that are gathered from the forest in the tar.
Wow.
It's brilliant. I mean, I never knew that actually that particular area might have their own kind of food thali. I mean, it's brilliant, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that's wonderful. So, towards the end, moving on to you, Dr. Javeria, one last thing which I wanted to ask, and that is that these days, our mothers, they have, kind of have done something to our food, and that is that, they would order in bulk, freeze it then, and then, every time we need to consume it, it needs to go into the oven, kind of melt the ice, which was all around the milk as well, and probably, frozen bread, frozen chicken nuggets, whatnot. Are they healthy?
That's not totally healthy, but at the certain period they are, first 20 years of nutrition based on the next 20 years of nutrition. If you're deficient after 20s, there is some deficiency if it starts from the breast milk. Breast milk is the best milk and it helps you to generate your immunity, nowadays, girls who are married and who has babies or in that period, they are totally getting commercialized. In 20 years back, when in our parents' things, they made food with their own hand, with love, care, and there is no detection of any sort of illness, and everything is so manageable with all love, care, affection, and many other things. Right at the moment, girls are not even ready to provide a breast milk. That's the baseline is down for the small kid. Laterly, when they about to go for the schooling and things, they made the luncheon or giving the food like totally commercialized food. This and packed juice and packed milk and things. This is one of the very bad and not a good habit for development of this is totally poor healthcare system. Because we developed our healthcare systems not in hospitals but from home, from the kitchen, and from the accessibility of good food. So it's our own keen responsibility to build our nation and our children like potentially and physically strong for the future builders or a future leaders. Whenever we give them a proper nutritional goals, we can achieve whatever we want.
Wow, that's wonderful. So thank you very much, Ms. Rebecca, for joining us. Thank you very much, Dr. Javeria, for joining us. Wonderful to have you both and to kind of speak about it as well, because it truly, ladies and gentlemen, is important because we are what we eat. That's what I know for sure.
Definitely. And Shahzad, if we do improve our food quality or food production or, improve the nutrients and safety for that matter, like Ms. Rebecca mentioned, we can definitely be increasing our exports as well. I would really like to see the tag of Pakistan on all the actual products that we develop, but unfortunately we cannot sort of own them because we do not have the large number of production.
But
a lot of Pakistanis are doing a great job in terms of export. Now I think the ease of business is really happening in this tenure of the government. I'm saying that because I know a lot of people who are doing that. In terms of mangoes, your favorite, Shahzad, for the people who only used to...
Mine too.
Yeah? Okay, everyone loves mangoes, right?
I know where you're heading, but to be very honest, everywhere I've been all over in the world as well, the best fruit you'll always get, it will be from Pakistan, that's true, because, in England, elsewhere in US, I found fruits, but very bland as well in taste. But when they are from Pakistan, they're real juicy, they have that essence of being a fruit as well, which is why we love Pakistan. And the ease of business is something which we wanted to pick up on the next segment as well. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Stay tuned.
Thank you, Arpan.
Welcome back to Well this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we did learn something about food safety over here and how to get the right nutrients onto your table as well, which makes me think, Shahzad, do you ever buy frozen fish?
Well, no.
It's a good habit.
Yeah, I've never ever gotten myself anything which is frozen, you know, until and unless, you know, it's somebody who actually asks for it within the household as well, that they need something which is
An
frozen because
emergency
we have to
maybe.
travel. Yeah, that's a different story. But otherwise, I would always rather prefer fresh things as well. And, you know, I've always made sure to kind of go and look for all of those things which kind of look fresh to me and get them and eat them as well. But yeah, you know, since we were talking about that, you know, in this segment, we particularly wanted to talk about newer business techniques as well. You know, so kind of, I think that the first thing which is going to come up to my mind is, you know, having that mindset of being an entrepreneur and the kind of pressure you have to go through, ladies and gentlemen. It can be intense at times, but you really need to have faith. You really need to be prepared as well. But without any further ado, we're going to share a report with you. Once you guys are going to come back, we will be in conversation with somebody who's going to let us know about 100% newer techniques about business. Let's do that. Good morning.
E-business has ramped up during the pandemic around the world. The growth has differed across sectors and over different stages of the pandemic. According to UN Trade and Development experts, the e-commerce sector saw a dramatic rise in its share of all retail sales from 16% to 19% in 2020. E-business, which is electronic business, is the conduct of business processes on the internet. These e-business processes include buying and selling goods and servicing customers, processing payments, managing production control, collaborating with business partners, sharing information, running automated employee services, recruiting, and much more. Owning and maintaining an online business gives entrepreneurs the freedom to make money from anywhere in the world. The idea is enticing and more possible than ever, but many entrepreneurs don't know where to start. The most important step in starting a profitable online business is to find a business idea that matches your skills and strengths. Whether you're looking to become a full-time entrepreneur or just to start a part-time business for passive income, your product or service should fulfill a specific consumer need. Some changes in consumers' shopping habits and payment behavior may be long-lasting. This may have implications for structural change and the growth of the digital economy.
Well, literally, ladies and gentlemen, e-commerce is not even passive income as of now as well. You know, when we speak about it, I think that people are now prioritizing and making sure that they're doing good on e-commerce as well. But without any further ado, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be Danish born as well. She's making sure that she's got multiple streams of income, and that too from internet as well. And how to have that mindset is something which we wanted to kind of ask about. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are lucky that we've actually been joined by Miss Masnoon Rana, all the way from Copenhagen. Hello, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. How are you, people? Beautiful people in Pakistan.
Thank you so
very much
much
for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Absolutely our pleasure. You look so lovely yourself. Well, I do realize there must be a time difference and you're probably having a really hard time waking up for us, so we're going to make it short, okay? We want you to sort of share some tips on, so here's the thing, a lot of Pakistani youngsters are now venturing into online businesses.
Yep.
I think it's the best option for them. I think it's the smartest move. So can you give out some tips on how you improved your online businesses? Being an entrepreneur, of course.
Yeah, there are, as I can tell you that there are different type of online businesses in the latest market. But the new business that just has been launched by Edward Haynes, it's something unique and much better than other network marketing business. Holton Bugs, what do you say? Holton Bugs, he discovered that people love saving money, especially after COVID. That there so many have lost their jobs, and I know personally some businessmen who are literally bleeding because their business has just going down. Yeah, so the new business has now arrived, which is called iBoomerang. So it has multiply stream of income. And in iBoomerang, there is a PREP. PREP is when people save money, you get paid. So in PREP, PREP is a company that has 7 companies under this. When you are working as a network, working in a network marketing, you have two sections. The one is entrepreneurship, and the second part is the customer. Normally people have to sell the products to their customers, but now the new opportunity has arrived. You don't have to sell anything to your customers, but you just give them the services, free service. So when they save their money, and you will get paid. And PREP, PREP is a perpetual residual income builder. Excuse me?
PREP is a new
Yeah,
technology relatively.
Yeah, it's a new tech data business. Yeah, it is a new technology. So under PREP, there are 5 company right now, which calls IGO. IGO is a travel session. So if I give you an example, it is when you are entrepreneur in an iBoomerang, then you have access to iBoomerangs. It's you can say it's a link that you give to your customers, and customers, they use when they have to download the app, PREP app, and then they can go into IGO, and then when they buy some travel in travel section, there is a accommodations that you can rent a cars, you can there are hoteling, you name it, and they have it. Whenever they are going to use only the one company, IGO, when they save money there, then you will get paid 50%.
Exactly. So what you're trying to refer to is that, if people are going to use iBoomerang, and if they're going to save money on that, we will be actually getting paid of whatever amount they saved, 50% of it is going to come back to us. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And in PREP, there is a bill genius as well. So all people have to pay their bills. Right, correct.
Okay.
So in Bill Genius, you're doing the same. We will give them a code, the link. Use my link and get discount on your bills. Then when all people have to pay the bills, the electricity, house, mortgages, you name it, everything what they have to pay on monthly. When they using this PREP link, when they are going to save money, we will get paid 50% as well.
Wonderful, and because life these days it looks like full of bills as well, so I believe that everybody kind of take advantage of that, right?
Yeah, and there's the same kind of, the third one is the Vibe Rides. It's a taxi, just like Uber. Uber doesn't get very well in COVID-19. For them, the new technology is in the Vibe Rides as well. When you are using the Vibe Rides, then you will get the passive stream of income as well. Then the Elevate is another company. It's an academy, Forex. It has cryptocurrency. So there are those teachers who are learning you how to multiply your income. Yeah. And the last one is the Zens. It's the products. Now listen carefully. This is the most exciting thing here. Zens is a products, highly they have been used the latest technology. You don't have to sell products. PREP will do for you.
Oh, wow, this is that's wonderful. Yeah. But Ms. Rana, there's one more important aspect to that, and that is that everybody wants multiple streams of income. Everybody wants to kind of make sure that that their capital is increasing every single day. And just because everybody's so desperate to have more money with them, what they will do is that they will eventually fall into a trap or will make a grievous mistake which they're going to repent for the rest of their lives as well. So what are those things to look out for that, God forbid, that just in desperation we might even lose rather than earn?
Yeah.
I think it's a very smart question.
Yeah, can you please repeat it again? I didn't get it.
Yeah,
The
I will
question?
repeat it. You know, so what happens over here is that, you know, just to increase my own capital, I will keep on investing it into different products, right? Which is great,
Yeah.
but everybody wants multiple streams of incomes. So now when
Yeah.
we're talking about multiple streams of income, obviously, you know, things when we are doing them on internet are very intangible. People are not really sure about it. So how to avoid a scam?
I would say that the multiplier income, sources of income that it is here, it's just not a multiplier, it's a passive, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a passive. There is a passive multiplier stream of income
Yeah.
that you don't have to think about it. It will just come in. You will earn without knowing where the money is coming from.
Yeah.
Was that the
Well,
answer?
we totally get it, and I think that, you know, everybody needs to be open to newer technologies, rather, you know,
Definitely.
kind of do their homework in the first place so that they really do not fall for a trap as well. But thank you very much, Ms. Masnoor Rana, for being with us. It was lovely
Yeah.
to be in conversation and to be talking about newer technologies with which we can generate multiple streams of income as well. So for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely hope that you've taken something away. But before we do that, Shiza, do you want to say something?
Yeah, definitely. I love the fact that, of course, we have been speaking about it for almost 3 years now, but there is definitely a booming business scenario in Pakistan, and a lot of youngsters are jumping onto it. Is it, of course, probably the relaxation provided by the governments? Is it the, I don't know, is it because of the pandemic that everything has moved online? But whatever it is, it's working out. I love that. So I think we did sort of gave some tips out to all of those people who might be thinking if there are some other ways to improve your income as well. But our job over here is not to endorse, just probably give you out ideas. Your job is to do the research before you hop into it.
True.
Yeah, so for the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any ideas for us to discuss with you or inform you or aware you about, let us know in our social media so we can incorporate in our show. On Facebook with the name of?
Well, this morning?
Yes, on Twitter.
Well, this morning without a G.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, you look for PTV World and then Well This Morning.
Yeah, and the repeat of this one you will be able to catch.
5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
morning.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.